These plants are dying because of mealybugs. I have let them take over these succulents and the ones around them. I've sacrificed these plants to provide the best possible examples to show you how to get rid of mealybugs and not hurt your plants in the process. The first step when treating mealybugs is to quarantine the affected plants. This helps control the infestation from spreading further. After you've quarantined or isolated your plants that have mealybug infestation signs, it's time to treat them. I've gathered some supplies for some different methods here, but before I do that, really important, I want to talk a little bit about how mealybugs affect your plants and their life cycle, because that's going to come in handy when we start the treatment process. Mealybugs feed on the juice of the plant, and they eat the juice for protein, and they eat more than they need because they secrete this white residue here. And it's sweet, and actually you can see it attracts ants. So ants are a telltale sign that you have a mealybug infestation. When mealybugs are sucking the juice out of your plant, they're also putting saliva into it, and their saliva is toxic. It can start to create malformed or warped leaves, as well as some bumps that look very unnatural to the plant typically. To completely get rid of mealybugs, you have to understand their life cycle. Adult female mealybugs lay 300 to 600 eggs at one time, and they do it inside this white cotton-like substance here, and that protects and hides the eggs. They take about 1 to 3 weeks to hatch, but with that many eggs, you can see how quickly they can take over one plant, go to another, to another. So when it comes to treating it, which we're going to do now, we have to keep in mind the egg cycle of the mealybug. I'm going to show you a few methods that are going to completely get rid of your mealybug problem. And the first one involves 70% isopropyl alcohol, poured into a small glass like that, and a paintbrush. Isopropyl alcohol is a very effective method to treat pest infestations. It evaporates off the plant quickly. 70% isopropyl alcohol is strong enough to kill a mealybug instantly upon contact. So what I'm going to do is I will dip this paintbrush into the isopropyl alcohol and then go over some of the affected areas. This echeveria is showing signs of a light infestation. I'm seeing a couple small little bits of the cotton-like substance where the eggs are. I'm not seeing any serious leaf malformation going on. So I'm going to take my paintbrush dipped, and I'm going to just really get on top of those things right there and really submerge them with that. Using a paintbrush is a great way to get a hold of small infestations, but you have to keep in mind, a lot of people don't realize this, that because mealybugs are so tiny, you can't see them. So although I just took out the big egg sac portions there, there's more on this plant. So you can't rely on this method, but it is a good method to directly hit some spots and go after it. I'm going to do the same thing with these really infested ones right here. I think this one is salvageable, even though it looks pretty terrible. Yeah, that one's a goner. The paintbrush is a good start to get you on your way to getting rid of mealybugs, but it's never going to get rid of them all unless you're really like painting the plant, which is why it's time for a spray bottle. Whenever you're treating your plants with a spray bottle, it's important to keep in mind the kind of bottle to use. I try to stay away from these small, cheap ones because one, they're not very powerful. So like if I'm trying to really penetrate those white sacs that the eggs of the mealybugs are in, they don't really do the trick unless I really soak them. And two, I like these types of bottles here because one, they pack the punch with the power, and they already have some of the measurements here on the side. There's ounces, milliliters, something that a lot of people overlook when they're going to treat their plants for mealybugs or other pests is what type of product they're using to get rid of the infestation. This is very important and can hurt your plants if you don't do it right. A lot of people, they say, Neem oil kills my plants. You can't use it on certain plants because it will absolutely destroy them. So let's go over that really quick. This Echeveria succulent is a plant that I cannot use the neem oil with. And the reason why is this white outer coating that you might be familiar with on succulents. Well, it's got a name and it's called farina. And using neem oil will remove permanently this farina. As you can see, you can just kind of wipe it off. Well, this is very important for succulents. It's a water repellent. It even acts like a form of sunscreen for the plant. So when you put neem oil onto a certain succulent that has farina, well, there's a chance that you're gonna really take away all of its protective layering and it becomes very vulnerable. The best way to treat plants with farina is isopropyl alcohol or a mixture of isopropyl alcohol and water, because the isopropyl alcohol coats the plant, but it does not destroy the farina. It just evaporates off it after you've sprayed and treated for the pests. I'm gonna start by spraying the isopropyl alcohol mixed with water onto the plants where it's safer. And I'm going to go half water, half 70% isopropyl alcohol. 70 is fine, you don't need to go higher. And if you go a little more than 50% of a ratio of isopropyl alcohol, that is absolutely fine. I'm probably gonna end up going a couple ounces over with the isopropyl alcohol, but again, it evaporates and it's not gonna hurt your plants, but more on that coming up. Shake the mixture, very important. These Graptivarias and most of these succulents around them require the isopropyl alcohol water mixture, so I'm going to start spraying. And I'm gonna spray really, really good and make sure that I get every little crack and crevice on the plant. Again, by spraying them directly, I'm breaking down the exoskeleton of those mealybugs so they cannot stand a chance. And again, the benefit of the spray bottle is that any little crawlers, I am totally wiping out. But some eggs will remain, so it's important that we spray again, and I'm gonna talk about the right schedule for that coming up. You wanna make sure you really get underneath and in these cracks and crevices, because that's where they will lay the eggs and hide out. And if you wanna take some bigger leaves off, especially if they're being affected by the mealybugs and they don't have their normal shape, that's fine, because every leaf that you take off like that really helps you get into those spots you need to get into. It's important to take your time and move around the plants as you spray to ensure the plants are completely covered. It's been over an hour since I sprayed all of these plants with the isopropyl alcohol water mixture. It's completely dry, it's all evaporated. Some people will choose to wash off the isopropyl alcohol mix. That's not super necessary. I just let it dry out. It's just very important that for the rest of the day, or maybe a couple days, you keep the plants out of direct sunlight, because they still might be a little vulnerable to burning after that spray. So just play it safe. It's time to mix the neem oil solution to treat the plants, and this is where a lot of people make mistakes and their plants pay the price. First thing you do, shake it up, make sure the solution is nice and well balanced. I usually buy my neem oil at local nurseries if I can. If I'm in a pinch, I'll order it online, and I'll throw a link in the video description just in case that is helpful for you. A huge mistake that people make is that this is a concentrate of neem oil. It's very powerful on its own, so you have to mix it with the right ratio of water so it doesn't hurt your plants. I like for mealybugs to go in between 20 to 30 milliliters of neem oil concentrate per gallon of water. I have around 1/6 of a gallon of water in here, and so that means 5 milliliters of this neem oil concentrate is going to be more than enough. And this is where these little measuring cups come in handy. I can easily see milliliters, ounces, or teaspoons, tablespoons. These are a great investment. Get one, you won't regret it. I'm gonna pour it in there, get every little drop, and something that I'll do is I'll just sometimes pour a little water in there and then pour it in. You might wanna wear gloves for this because neem oil can irritate your skin. Shake, 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 especially now that you have the neem oil concentrate mixed with the water. If you just let it sit here without shaking it as you spray, the neem oil is slowly going to rise to the top, and what's coming out of the sprayer, which is coming out of the bottom, is not the true solution that you mixed. I'm going to spray this jade plant, Crassula ovata, with the neem oil. Neem oil has always been my go-to pest treatment for my jade plants. Now, neem oil is a little bit different. It's not going to evaporate or dry out as quickly as the isopropyl alcohol water mixture. Pro tip, whenever you're spraying your plants, you should do it either outside or in a bathtub, especially with this neem oil because it will leave a residue. Do not rinse it off with water once you're done. When a mealybug is exposed to neem oil, it stunts its hormonal growth. They do not mature to the phase where they can lay eggs and continue to spread and infest the plant. Very important after you've treated your jade plant, succulent, house plant, whatever the plant with neem oil, is that you don't give it direct sunlight immediately. It's going to leave an oily coat on the leaf that might not be apparent, but it is there. So you want to gradually expose it to light. I have successfully treated these plants for mealybugs, but it's important to know the job is not done. As I mentioned before, mealybug eggs can take 1 to even 3 weeks to hatch. So let's say you missed an egg. Well, that could hatch and the infestation could start all over again. So it's important that you continue to treat your plants every 5 to 7 days for at least 3 weeks, or until you are very confident there's no more mealybugs. Even then, I spray my plants usually once a month, sometimes every month and a half as a preventative. Letting mealybugs take over these succulents was a special case because I wanted to make sure I could show you the proper way to handle an infestation that you might be dealing with. And I really hope it was helpful and that you have a great rest of your week.